Okay, welcome to the live stream today, ladies and gents. I probably won't be streaming for too long because I've got a really sore throat today, but I do want to talk about this shooting, the CEO shooting, because I have a lot more questions than I do have answers. I don't know if you feel the same about following this news over the last day or so, but it is really bizarre, and I think we're going to find a lot of interesting twists in this story. So I'm sure you probably all know about it by now. He's going to a meeting. You know what I found weird about the whole meeting as well, 8 a.m. meeting that he was gunned down just before the meeting, was that the investors came and the eyewitness reporters say that they still went in and did the meeting even though they saw that he'd been shot. I mean, I thought it was the most bizarre thing hearing all of these eyewitness people and talking about it and everything else. I thought that was a bit strange. Now, when it comes to this shooting, I am still on the fence with it because when I saw the initial footage of it, I thought maybe he'd used a 22. It was like, you see it jammed, and I thought, is that because he's put a homemade suppressor on that, or what? Like, there was so much confusion around it. So I'm glad they clarified now. They found these three casings, the 9mm casings, with the words on it, which sorts of now has given me even more questions. There's even more of a mystery. I want to read your comments actually on this. Yeah, deny, depose, defend. Gene saying here, yeah, absolutely. That's what it said on it. We'll talk about that in a second and what that means. But yeah, let me know your comments. I'm going to be reading your comments here as we go along because I do want your engagement on this one. Um, okay, I do want your engagement on this one because I'm finding this one really, really interesting. Now, my initial thoughts were when I saw the footage of it, to me it was a professional. Like there was no doubt in my mind whatsoever. When I saw it, I thought he's a professional. Someone's hired him. Well, two schools of thoughts. Either one, someone's hired him to do it, which is what I thought first, and then that leads me down 3 or 4 different roads, so maybe we'll come back to that. So either someone's hired him or the guy is very well trained in handguns. Maybe he's either military or maybe he just does it as for fun, or he's maybe special forces or was ex-special forces. There's something there. I can't quite put my finger on it, but you know, I can see there's something there around that. And even the way that he cleared it, I think it was the suppressor, but we'll wait until we get more information on that because at the minute there isn't really that info. But I think it was the suppressor that was causing why he had to manually correct, especially now we know it's 9mm. So it's really, there's just so much going on there. But the fact that if he was a trained killer, why didn't he just go up and do one shot there and then? Why? And also when he shot, you saw the first round dropped, which means to me maybe he'd never fired that weapon before, and that's why the round dropped, because that's what actually happens if you don't know how to shoot properly. Usually a lot of times your first shot will drop. So that was another thing I thought, and then his second to hit. But I just thought it was strange, and he was so calm, he was so relaxed. He had this route planned in, the route planned out. He said to me that this was, and he arrived 5 minutes before the CEO actually arrived. So to me, it was just bizarre that this was, he obviously knew his schedule. How did he get that? How did he know exactly where he would be? The other thing he did, you'll notice on the video, there was a person stood there when he just started shooting, and he even looked at them, saw they weren't a threat, and then just left them to it as they left. There was a vehicle, he didn't do anything there. The whole thing is bizarre. So I've got two schools of thought. One, it was someone that was paid to do it. Why? Well, I'm going to open up a few articles and tell you there's some strange things going on. There's some lawsuits, there's cases going on. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to read your comments a second. Yeah, shareholder, equity, whistleblower had to be silenced. Potentially that's one thing I'm looking at. Let's see what else. What was he going to say at the meeting? Medical insurance victim. That's the thing I'm thinking of. I'm not sure if it's a medical insurance victim, or perhaps it was something like a mother or, a parent. I'm thinking that's my other thought. Maybe it was his mother. I started looking into this. I didn't know any of this stuff, by the way, about the medical insurance industry for the US. 1/3 of all claims, it says, of valid claims are refused. And then they, validate why they refused it with bogus information. There's all sorts of stories I found for you, actually. Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's go on to a couple of the articles then. So they've just released, this is an update, they've released this picture of him, which, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He just seems some normal dude. It's bizarre. Now, another thing that was bizarre was the fact that they moved his profile, United Health Group, removed his profile straight away. So if I load this up, page not found. Let's do this again. Ready? Hold on. Let me click it and you'll see the URL at the top. Watch this. So it just says not found. They've removed him. The other thing they did was that apparently they've advertised the job already. They're already looking for new people, which is a bit strange. So I looked at why people are so happy about this shooting, because I was on X, and obviously I don't know as much about the US health insurance industry as some of you will who are in the US. And people are celebrating this all over the internet. Like, people are so happy about this, which I thought was so strange. And well, I found out why now. Let's have a quick look. So the case said delay, deny, defend. Again, this makes me think it was either something to do with a family member or someone paid the guy. I mean, I don't know. It's so bizarre, this whole thing. I'm one of these guys that if you watch a murder mystery with me, you don't want to watch with me because I'm figuring it out straight away. But this one has got me. I am really baffled by it. But this is what it said: delay, deny, and defend. Why insurance companies don't pay claim and what you can do about it. So that obviously says that maybe this was the reason for it. Now, I looked up some of the details on him personally. He'd been facing allegations of fraud, insider trading allegations. This was in May 2024. He sold 15 million of his shares when he knew the company was under investigation by the US Department of Justice. And also, according to court documents, the company has purchased more than 35 healthcare companies in the last 10 years. We know why that is. We know why they do this. It is to cut out competition and increase prices. Justice Department investigators had been looking into whether it used its market power to reduce competition, hurting customers and employees. There's an example of the Hollywood firefighters pension fund. They initiated a complaint against him and other executives, and this was over, the pension fund losing money, basically. They're also facing legal action over its proposed takeover of a rival healthcare company. Now, who was responsible for a lot of this? They are blaming the CEO. So it was interesting that someone, I can't remember who, left in the comments at the start, is this to do with this sort of stuff? I think it possibly, that's one other avenue I'm thinking along that line. Either it was a family member or someone has gotten rid of this guy. That is what I'm thinking here. So they tried to do another merger here as well, but on the 12th of November, so what, a couple of weeks ago here, the Justice Department actually stopped the merger, alleging it would eliminate competition and harm patients who receive home health and hospice services. Just check the comments a second, see what anyone else has said. Okay, nothing else. Yeah, okay, carry on then. This was a story that I found then. United Healthcare tried to deny coverage to a chronically ill patient. He fought back, exposing the inner workings of how the company did business. Now, this one says insurers reject about 1 in 7 claims for treatment, but the statistics I was reading says they reject 1 in 3 valid claims. So I don't know how they do the statistics here, but more than 200 million Americans are covered by private health insurance. 1 in 7 are declined for actual treatment. A lot of people just give up fighting these insurance companies. Only 0.1% of claims denied by insurers under the Affordable Care Act. The insurer did, however, consider a report submit. Okay, so this guy basically, he needed drugs and treatment, and they found a doctor who would sign off to say that actually he doesn't need these drugs, and he can have a lower level of treatment because it was costing so much. So it's interesting how they do these things. So he's obviously quite sick now because he can't get the treatment. Now, I think we all know how these insurance companies work. I shared the story with you before of when my van was stolen. They treated me like I was the criminal as opposed to being a victim. This was last July 22nd in the UK. They treated me like I was the criminal. And then when I did get my payout, even though I'd only owned it for a few weeks, they paid me half of what it was worth and said that it was only worth half. And I appealed that and it went through their internal appeal processes, which doesn't really mean anything. It's their internal processes, so it means nothing. So what I then had to do was take it to the ombudsman and sue the company, which I did. And then they had to pay out. They were forced to pay out. But even when they were given the time to pay out, they waited until the very last day and paid out. And then they deducted all these costs as well. And then I had to go back and sue again. And then the ombudsman sided with me and said they had to pay plus interest. Well, they paid, but then they never paid the interest. And they said, well, oh, you're going to have to. So I had to, it was like, this is what these companies do, by the way. They are not there to look after you, just so you realize that. I'm sure any of you in America know. Yeah, everyone's saying the same thing. David, it's one big scam. Carlos, terrible. Yeah, this is what these companies do. They are absolutely atrocious. Let's carry on then. Let's carry on. So, by the way, why you've got to ask, why are they doing such a big deal about this shooting when you look at how many people get shot in New York? This is NYPD. The only reason they're making a big deal about this one is because he's sort of one of them. He's earning $10 million. I mean, and again, I'm not taking away from the fact this guy has been murdered, which he has. It's absolutely sad and tragic. I know a lot of people are celebrating it. That's not, my personality. I'd never celebrate anything like that. Even though I do understand that, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there, a lot of fraud allegations, insider trading, being responsible for trying to increase people's healthcare, stopping people from getting healthcare, stopping people getting treatments. It's a terrible thing these companies do. It really is. But why though are they focusing on this? Because he's a high profile person. If this was some, let's say it was me, or let's say it was you walking down the street and it happened to us, would the media be making a big deal about it? No, they couldn't care less. They probably celebrate me, to be honest, the media would. No, they wouldn't care less about us. It's only because he was this big shot. Now, there was a couple other things I found that a bit unusual. Oh yeah, India. You've got to love some of the Indian outlets, by the way. They come out right away and they're brutal. Some of them are, but we got this out of the Economic Times. This is out of the India Times, actually. I won't read all their stuff because some of the stuff they said was a bit outrageous, but they said straight away he was earning over $10 million per year, and he has been for several years now. And that not just that, but he actually gets bonuses for if they stop doing payouts and they lower the treatment levels. He actually gets a bonus off of this. I mean, it's pretty disgusting, sick stuff, that the way they're doing some of these things. Bonuses, stock options, all the others. That's why I think people are so divided over this case, because of some of the things we're finding out about how it works. The other thing is there's just been this massive uptake now in private security firms, inundated with calls after health insurance boss was shot. So this is another thing. The stock actually rallied on the first day, but now it's actually been dropping. It's down almost 4% today. Now, what else was I going to cover? Okay, a couple other things I just wanted to cover briefly was the French government has I should have really covered this yesterday, but my throat was not holding up. French government has actually collapsed, yes, in a no confidence vote. So we're going to have an update on that shortly. But I am going to, fingers crossed, if I can edit quite late through the night and tomorrow, I'm going to have my Paris walk around video ready for you tomorrow. So that will come out 6 p.m. UK time. This is, I would say without a doubt, the most shocking walk around I've ever done. And bearing in mind, I was only in Paris for 48 hours. I was wrapped up in all sorts of crazy stuff, because you know me, I go to the worst areas. I go to, I mean, I ended up in the middle of some sort of a riot / protest with riot police. Don't ask me how. That was pure coincidence. I didn't plan it. Um, Police with guns, soldiers at the airport, like everything you can imagine took place on this 48 hours when I was walking around. So that's going to come out tomorrow. It's going to be just wild. So make sure to watch that, share that video far and wide as well. Let me just see, was there anything else I wanted to cover for you here? Oh yeah, we've got one other thing. So Fauci, Schiff, and Cheney may receive pardons from Joe Biden. If this happens, this will be absolutely outrageous. The odds went up from about 15%. They're now something like 45%. This is what is on the table. It reminds me when Biden said, nobody is above the law. And then someone did a meme that said, yeah, except Hunter Biden, because he got his pardon, which is disgusting, absolutely outrageous. But now it's looking as though these other guys are going to get their pardon as well. If Fauci gets a pardon, that is going to be, I don't even know. I won't even pass comment on that if he actually gets his pardon. Yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments here. I can see some people are not sad at all about this incident taking place. Let's just see. Yeah, I think that's about. I think we'll wrap up there. I need another hot drink for my throat. But I will see you in my new location on my next video, which will be early next week. But apart from that, enjoy is going to be a strong word, but yeah, enjoy the Paris video, walk around tomorrow. I think you're going to be quite shocked. If you're shocked by the others I've done, this is way, way above what you can imagine. All right, take care. God bless you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Fingers crossed.